Wiley is our #1 choice. We've already tried Giuliani's New York. What that got us was a New York that was harder to afford and a New York that criminalized young people and put them into lifelong carceral cycles. It ends now. These are the stakes. Maya Wiley is the one. She will be a progressive in Gracie Mansion.
There you see AOC endorsing civil rights attorney Maya Wiley in New York's mayoral race, hoping to make Wiley the clear progressive choice. Early voting in the Democratic primary starts this week, and with 13 candidates in the hunt to replace Mayor Bill de Blasio, voters will also navigate a new ranked choice voting system. We're going to have more on that after this report from Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl.
Welcome to the second debate of the Democratic candidates in the primary race for mayor of New York.
In New York this week, 8 candidates for one of the biggest political prizes of 2021. Spread apart, but in person and together. A sign that in politics, too, life is getting back to normal.
I'm not a career politician. I'm not funded by a PAC.
I have been your crisis manager.
We need change and a fresh start.
This race is a classic New York free-for-all, but it's also the largest election anywhere in the country by far since the end of the Trump presidency and since we've turned the corner on the pandemic.
Back to normal, but there's something surprising happening in progressive New York City. While you might think this would be a race to the left, the leading candidates are talking tough on crime, opposing tax hikes, and about keeping businesses in New York. Last year's defund the police rallying cry? Not here, not now.
What would you do to the overall budget for the NYPD?
I have not been planning to make changes to the budget. We will look at them from whether or not there are efficiencies to be found, but I believe we need to have our patrol strength on the streets of New York.
So what happened with the whole defund the police movement that was so big just last year?
Defund the police is the wrong approach for New York City. Most New Yorkers I talk to are very, very concerned about what's going on in their neighborhood. And if anything, they want to see more officers. And we need to go on a recruitment drive citywide for more officers.
Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams is campaigning as a former cop who was also a victim of police brutality as a teenager.
I'm Eric Adams. I'll be a blue-collar mayor. I'll rebuild our economy while tackling violent crime and bring New York back.
What's the #1 issue in this race?
Public safety. No one, because public safety is really the foundation for all the issues. We can't turn around our economy if we're not safe.
There are progressives in this race.
Good afternoon.
Maya Wiley just got a big endorsement from Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Thank you. Everybody, Maya Wiley!
Wiley says she would take $1 billion out of the police budget.
We are going to stop the hiring in the next 2 police cadet classes. As I have said, we have a police department that is bloated.
That has been a tougher argument to make when the city is in the midst of a rise in crime. The overall crime rate in New York City is up more than 20% since last year, and shooting incidents are up more than 70%. We caught up with candidate Andrew Yang on the campaign trail in Brooklyn, where he turned a heckler at a press conference.
I want him to tell me when he do right, I will support him.
Into a potential supporter. Yang is something of the celebrity candidate, breaking through in large part because he is well known from his run for president last year. Lately, he's become the biggest target.
Harsh cover in New York Magazine. Who really wants Andrew Yang to be mayor? What's up with that?
Well, a lot of people, apparently, because we have the most individual grassroots donors right here in New York City than any other candidate.
Yang says public safety is not just about recruiting more cops, but also turning around the city's pandemic-ravaged economy.
What about taxes?
Right now would be the wrong time to raise taxes here in New York City. We do have $12 billion in federal aid or so, and a lot of families right now are looking around wondering whether this is the place for them to raise their family, to build a business. We cannot give people more reasons to start looking at places like Florida, because the reality is we need people who make a lot of money to pay their taxes right here in New York City.
But the tough on crime, pro-business, no tax increases approach sounds a little bit like the early Mayor Bloomberg and maybe even Mayor Giuliani back in the day.
I certainly admire Mike Bloomberg a great deal, and one thing I want to take from his example is hiring a group of world-class managers who are non-ideological, just results-oriented, just solving problems and getting things done for New York.
As Yang faces criticism, he has no real experience to be mayor. The candidate who seems to be rising fastest is Kathryn Garcia.
And for 14 years, my job has been to solve problems for New York. And I've got no plan to stop now.
The city's former sanitation commissioner, Garcia's campaign is strikingly non-ideological. Her message is that she can do the job. She also says schools should be fully reopened already with in-person classes.
And there's some resistance from the teachers' unions on this.
Yeah, I don't understand that. They're eligible to be vaccinated. Our infectivity rate is almost zero at this point. We know from the beginning that young children weren't transmitting. We can do this safely, and we need to do this safely.
The Democratic primary is less than 3 weeks away. Whoever wins will face the daunting challenge of governing a place long ago called the ungovernable city and facing some of the toughest times in decades.
I wrestled with people who carry knives on our subway system trying to assault someone. I'll be darned if I can't wrestle with everyday people.
Is that good training to be mayor in New York?
I think so.
Thanks to John for that. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.